Thank you, Ross. All right, good morning. We're got a huge challenge this week. Going on the road. It's a very good NC State team. Very good team, complete. This is got to be one of the most experienced teams in the country for sure. I mean, a ton of guys that have played a lot of ball on both sides of the ball. 9 of 11 back on offense. Had 10 of 11 back on defense. Now 8 of 11. If a couple guys getting hurt, guys that have again, a few guys that have transferred in that were starters as well. So lots of experience with this team. They're incredibly well coached. They play hard, play tough, play smart, and they're 2-1. Mississippi State was a tough game for them. They opening kickoff return for a touchdown, and then NC State had 3 turnovers. So otherwise, that's a tight game. They gave up 17 points, not counting the kick return. So this is a really, really good team. Offensively, the quarterback is a baller. He is a very good player. He's an excellent thrower. He's athletic. He moves around. He can run well. And, again, just really understands their scheme. They're incredibly committed to what they do, with their stretch play and the misdirection, the screens, running back passing game, formations, boots and throwbacks and shots down the field to those big, tall receivers. 4 starters back in the offensive line. They're very good up front, very physical, and a very physical run game. That's where it all starts for them. I think the OL's got like 100 starts between them, so it's a very smart, cohesive group. And the receivers are very good players. 88 is outstanding. 5 is a great slot for them. 86 is an excellent player as well. So just a really good group. 2 great running backs that again, they all understand their scheme and going to be a big challenge for us defensively. Their defense, they look like us on tape. Different schematics than us, but they look like us in how they run to the football, how physical they are. They're very well coached. They're fundamentally sound. They do a super job. And, again, guys that have played a lot of football on all 3 levels. They're stingy. They've not allowed a rushing touchdown in 3 games against anyone. So, very, very confident group. And then special teams, this is one of the best special teams group that we'll see all year. They got the school record holder in field goals and the school record holder in punting. So a really good group, excellent returner, and a very good team, very good team. So, but for us, I'm excited. I'm excited to see us play a true road game and see how we accept the challenge. It's a tough place to play, and we're gonna have to have a great week of preparation, and we got to play well. It's that simple. We got to play well in all 3 phases, and if we do that, then we'll have a chance to win the game. If we don't, it's going to be a long day. So it's going to start with a great week of practice, and again, looking forward to it. Tyler Davis had surgery this morning, so you can keep him in your thoughts and prayers. It's a big loss for us. Man, he was playing great football. What an incredible effort from him in this past game, and just super proud of him, and look forward to getting him back. I know he'll come back better than ever. So next guy up, Rook's he's been there. He played well for us to this point, and so we're very fortunate that we got some other guys there that have gotten some experience in these first 3 games and have played well. So excited about his opportunity. And with that, I'll take questions.
Can you, regarding 3rd and 4th guys on the interior defensive line, can you maybe share your thoughts there about Trey? And is Trey healthy? I know he was banged up, I guess.
Yeah, he's been banged up all year, but he's been banged up since camp. But he's not missed a beat. He's played well. I thought the Georgia game, he was very active. He had the most mistakes, but really his first time really playing, and but he bounced back. He played better against South Carolina State, and then showed up again last week. So he's getting better and better. But he's a presence. He's a very athletic kid. He's tough, but he's he's been playing banged up all year and just battles through. He's done a good job for us, and obviously Rook has played well, and I think ET's starting to make a little progress. He's a guy too that's out all last year. And he didn't start playing football till his junior year, but has missed a lot of time around here from an injury standpoint. But he's starting to show some life a little bit. So he's a very active kid that we're going to have to get something out of. Darnell is incredibly consistent for us. He understands our scheme. He's not he can get sometimes you got to be careful with some matchups with him size wise, but he's very functional, fundamentally sound player, knows the scheme. And then Peyton Page, Peyton Page is a young guy that's learning, big presence, different type of player, but he's a load in there. And so, we got a good group, and we're fortunate with that, but we're definitely going to miss TD for sure.
Dabo, at what point did he go down, or I guess did he say anything?
I never knew it till after the game. That's what I'm saying. That's it's incredible. And I told him, I was like, because I didn't know till Sunday. He didn't miss a play. He was there in the last play of the game. And you watch him on the third down. He's ripping through, getting off blocks. It's just incredible that he was able to play. And he just said, he maybe it was the adrenaline of the moment. I don't know, but he was sore the next day. But in the moment, he felt like he could play.
So is he not sure exactly when it happened?
He probably is, but I'm not sure exactly when it happened.
I was just going to ask about his effort and the way he plays. I think there was a play where he dove for the quarterback, like out of bounds.
Got up. Well, that one, but there was also one in the backfield where he got on the ground, got up, and goes and makes the play 20 yards down the field. He was literally he made the extra effort tape five plays. Five different plays he was on the extra effort cut up. So just a great example to his team and how you're supposed to play.
Dabo, what do you think when you hear Bockhorst yesterday say things like, I think he said he wasn't here to make friends, wants to see people be held accountable when they don't do their jobs. What do you make of that when you hear him say that?
Well, that's the way it is. He's an incredibly committed guy. He knows what it looks like. He's been around here a long time. He's been on a bunch of great teams, and he knows the type of execution you have to have. And we got, and the good news is we're getting. If we weren't getting the type of effort, that'd be a different deal. It would be. I'd have a different mentality, but that's not the case. We've got great kids that are working their tail off, practicing their tail off. We've got some inexperience in some spots, and that's just, and a couple guys that, and we've had some weird, it's just been a weird deal. And last week was an incredibly, strange challenge, kind of ambushed a little bit, but we found a way. And when you got young players that are very inexperienced, next thing you know, if you're not sure, then what goes out the window is your fundamentals, your technique, Now the effort is very good, but for us, it's preparing with purpose, and our guys are doing that. We're having great. At some point we are. At some point we're going to take the practice to the game day, and these guys are preparing with purpose. There's no doubt about that. And when you do that, then you're doing a good job with details. And then it's you got to have commitment to be and do your best. Our guys are committed. We got a very committed group of guys. We have great leadership on this team. This is an easy team to come to work with every day. And then you have great effort, but it's effort with technique is what leads to execution. That's the part that's hurting us right now, is just the type of technique and fundamentals that you have to have precision in what you do, because you're putting drives together, especially getting a game like that where you're going to have to put drives together, and next thing you know, it's a critical mistake, a critical MA, and a lot of it's just fundamentals and technique. So we've got to get better there. There's no doubt, but the effort and the commitment is what you need, and the preparation is the same. So just, again, early in the season, the Georgia game is a really tough challenge. I don't care who plays Georgia, it's going to be a tough challenge. That's a very good. I don't care who plays Clemson, it's going to be a tough challenge. And a lot of new people, and then you play another game, and really kind of can do what you want, and then you play a game, and you spend all week in your preparation, and it's nothing that you prepared for. It kind of creates some chaos and some anxiety. And when you're inexperienced, it multiplies and it magnifies. So, that's kind of where we are right now. But we've got to play better. But our preparation, our effort, the guys we got, we've got a good group, and it's just a matter of time before we put it together. And it's going to we better put it together this week. I'll tell you that, because this is just the opposite. This is an incredibly experienced group on both sides of the ball, and we're going to play well. Have to play our best game.
I guess as the offense kind of comes around, do you feel like this is a defensive unit that you don't worry about putting too much pressure on them, or do you worry about if the offense isn't producing, defense having too much pressure on them on a week-to-week basis?
Defense just they focus on their job. That's what their job is to go stop people. We don't ever go into a game saying let's don't give up certain. Our job, we want to go stop people. That's always been our mentality around here. And they can't sit around. Defensive guys are worried about the offense, and if offensive guys are worried about the defense, then you're not worried about doing your job. They got enough on their plate than to worry about what's going on the other side of the ball.
Dabo, the defense obviously has not given up a touchdown. It's the only team left in FBS who hasn't. But when you talk to those guys, they still say, here's what I want to improve. We have to get better. I guess just what does that say about their mindset, but also just kind of the potential of that group? Well,
it's maturity, it's experience, it's pride and performance. Incredibly, with 20 guys coming into this season that have started for us. So very, very experienced group, a very deep, talented group. It's a lot of competition, and so they got a lot of pride in their performance, and they're not just satisfied with winning the game. They want to dominate, and they know that they have, and again, it's the totality of the season. As you start to get tape out there, it's not like we're not making mistakes, but sometimes you cover mistakes up. Maybe your pass rush covered a mistake up. Or maybe your effort covered a mistake up, where you misaligned or busted backside, or maybe it was the play call didn't expose you. But, you totally screwed something up, but the play call didn't expose you, but you put it on tape. And so we put some bad stuff on tape last week. It's our worst game defensively. It's the worst we've played. Most missed tackles, most mental errors, and really poor with our eyes where guys are trying to do too much. Guys trying to do other people's jobs, and that's and they see that. So that's discipline, and staying disciplined, and the effort, the physicality. Man, it's been really good. But again, staying disciplined within the system to doing your job. We did a really poor job of leveraging the ball. We did not contain the ball very well at all. Quarterback scramble really kept them in the game. It's really what kept them even alive. We had some bad penalties that extended drives where we're going to get off the field. So there's a lot that we need to improve from in that game. So you're always chasing your best game, and so there's a lot of things that they want to do better. Hey, you're always satisfied and happy that you got the win, but you move on. How do we get better? And that's what we do every single week.
Coach, how do you think DJ handles any criticism that comes his way so far in the first 3 games?
You have to ask him. He's been fine to me. He's a very even-keeled young man, and prepares his tail off. So he's I think he's very well prepared for what comes with that position, especially at a place like Clemson. He's a kid that's competed at a high level for a long time and with high expectations for a long time, and that just comes with it.
Dabo, what have you seen from Davis Allen, where he's kind of separated himself as that number one guy in the tight end room?
He's just played better, and Braden hadn't played bad. There's a few things we need Braden to do a little better, but he's just played well, just like Shipley. I mean, he's earned the opportunity to run out there first. It's a day in, day out, week in, week out. You got good players, and so it's no different than what we have at defensive end. Who's going to run out there first, and who's earned it week in and week out. It's just one of those positions. We got two really good players, and unless we start with two tight ends, one of them's got to run out there first. And after the first few games, Davis has just been a little bit more complete player.
With Shipley, how would you describe his vision and for a freshman, how he's kind of handling that?
He's special. I mean, he's got great vision. He's got great toughness. He's fast. I mean, he's a very complete player. I mean, he's relentless. He's a fighter for every inch. He's not satisfied with being tackled. We had a play in the game. Play in the game. He breaks 2 tackles. Breaks one in the backfield. Breaks one on the outside. And if Ngata blocks, if he just covers the guy up, it's a touchdown. He's the type of guy that, man, you got to. If everybody's working as hard as him, big plays are going to happen. On the outside. Because usually that's where your biggest plays come from in the run game, is when you get a guy to the second level and you got some key blocks from those receivers. And Joe had a good game, but it was one play, but literally it's a touchdown if he just covers the guy up. And instead we get a 0, and that guy makes the tackle. This is after he broke 2 tackles. He's just a relentless runner, and just very passionate about the game, passionate about being a great teammate, and I think Kobe's the same way. I think we got 2 really, really good players that are gonna do some great things for us.
Yeah, but with Trenton getting ejected last week, and I saw you brought in Barrett for a few plays and all, is it important to kind of get him up a little bit more so he's ready in case something like that happens and you're not missing a true Sam linebacker out there?
Yeah, he's ready. Malcolm played a lot of snaps, and Malcolm got banged up as well, and then just fresh legs, man. I mean, it was a long game and an emotional game, and just having some fresh legs out there in a couple of those moments. But Barrett's going to be a great player. He's super explosive and very instinctive player. I think eventually we'll play inside, before it's all said and done.
Regarding Georgia Tech sort of ambushing you guys with their structure, is the belief that, hey, you just tip your cap and they did something we couldn't possibly have prepared for, or is it we should have been more prepared in some ways for what they did?
Well, I mean, I think you tip your cap. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you prepare for what you think they're going to do, and you only get 17 hours of preparation time, so you got to make decisions, and you base it on what you've seen on tape, and then you get in the game and it's not what you've seen on tape. Hey, tip your hat to them. They caught us off guard a little bit, but we made the adjustments, and if we don't screw it up, it's 24 points or 27 points, and we just didn't finish the drives with the type of points. We were very efficient, and again, but when you have long drives like that and you get nothing for it, it's a double-edged sword there. Virginia Tech last year, different but similar in how they wanted to play, but we scored, and we didn't do that, and so I think because then I think once you get the type of lead, then things change a little bit, but we didn't, so just kind of stuck with it, and next thing you know, you make some mistakes and things like that, and you're in a dogfight. That's exactly what happened.
With your announcement last night about Dixon moving on, does Juice now become that third guy? What happens with the depth at running back?
We still got excellent depth. I mean, it's one of the deepest positions on our team. Shipley is a special player. Kobe's a special player. Highly recruited guys. I mean, they're young, but very talented. Certainly this is more opportunity for Mikey, and we'll see how he takes advantage of it. He's a guy that's just got to have a little bit more commitment into the details of what he's doing. you know, but he's very, very talented player. Rencher's a guy we trust immensely. Every time he gets an opportunity, he's productive, and he's shown that, you know. So we really trust him. He understands what he's doing, and then obviously we got Phil Maffa, and so, you know, I think Phil will be a kind of a week-to-week, you know, type of deal on where we go with him. But he's an incredibly talented player. But, you know, we feel good about, you know, the guys we got.
Is there anything you can share about Lyn-J and just why it didn't work out this year, why things went?
He just, you know, his decision. He wanted to get a head start on the portal, so wish him well.
Did that come as a surprise to you, that he decided to make that move?
Yeah, it was a surprise, but, you know, I mean, we're in the middle of the season, but in 2021, I guess nothing should be a surprise. It's kind of, you know, where we are. I doubt we're the only school in the country in 2021 that's had somebody go in the portal.
Just to officially confirm, Davis and Shipley are both your starters this week?
Yeah. This week.
Now, you mentioned LaVonta Bentley after the game in terms of Skalski came back, and, you know, were you anticipating him being a starter this year if Skalski didn't come back, and how much has Bentley learned behind a guy like Skalski?
Well, you know, he can play Mike or Will, so he would have had the opportunity to compete to be the starter, but he would have had to go earn it. But, you know, LaVonta, he's just such a great example to everybody on the team, you know, in being ready. He's a redshirt sophomore, you know, so he comes in, he redshirts, got a lot to learn, redshirt freshman, he's a special teams guy, you know, and you got veteran guys in front of him. And I always say, what are you doing when nobody's paying attention? What are you doing when nobody's watching? Are you preparing for your opportunity? Or are you just, you know, distracted? And LaVonta's one of those guys that every rep is his rep. That's kind of the mentality he's always had. Every rep is his rep, whether he's in there or not. You know, he's always listening. He's always paying attention. He is about his business. He's definitely one of the most respected guys on this team. He's that way in the weight room. He's that way with his academics. He's that way with his meetings. He's that way with his practice habits. I mean, he's just an incredibly committed young man. And, you know, when you have that and you're talented, it's just a matter of time. And, you know, what a great example of being ready. You know, they were saying, it says, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And he's one of those guys that stays ready. And, you know, he's not a powder. He's not, you know, he's just about his business. And it was awesome to see him, you know, literally find out in the locker room after pregame that, hey, you're up. And what a game. He's ACC linebacker of the week. So, you know, that just shows you the depth of his preparation when nobody's watching and what he's been doing the last couple of years to prepare for an opportunity. So really proud of him, and so is his team, because, you know, again, he's just that way in everything he does. He's just about his business.
With that crowded depth chart in the Mike and the Will, with so many sort of like third-year guys in your program, guys that have been around, that preparation, is there something else about Bentley that separated him from sort of the rest of those guys that are about his age?
Yeah, just he's been more consistent, you know. I mean, he's just outcompeted, not outcompeted. He's just had a little bit more consistent performance in the practices and scrimmages and those type of things. I mean, all those guys are good players, for sure. McGuire got in there, did a few good things, and I don't think Kane got in there, but, man, I love Kane Patterson. I mean, he's a kid that can play. But it was just, you know, it's just kind of where Jake's been out. You know, Jake's a guy we trust a lot as well. But, you know, just next man up.
How about Capehart?
He's still out. He's still out. He's still rehabbing his knee.
Do you have any update on Spector? I guess, is that a thing that you're still managing?
Brandon or Baylon? Baylon. He's doing a lot better, and so we're hopeful he'll be ready to go.
Anything else from anybody in person?
Yeah, but you guys have been so good in recent years in creating the chunk plays, explosive on offense. Hasn't been as much of that this year. Is that how defenses are playing you? Is that execution? Is that a little bit of everything? Or?
Well, we played Georgia, you know, I don't think you're going to see many people have a bunch of explosives against Georgia, number one. South Carolina State played everybody deep, and we just ran the ball and took a few plays and played a couple quarters and called it a day. We played a team last week that dropped 8 and said, run the ball. That's what we did. And it was completely opposite of what they had shown and what we prepared for. That's our 3 games. That's what we got. And I can assure you, we don't stink. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
Anything else from anybody in person before we go to Zoom? All right, any questions from Zoom? Please identify your name and affiliation.
Stop turning that ball over, though.
Coach,
I'll tell you that. Yeah.
So, hey, Coach, this is Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. I wanted to ask you a little bit about just kind of how the season is shaping up. I know we're only 3 games deep, but it seems like there's a lot more parity maybe amongst the top 10 teams this year. I was curious, if you have any idea why that might be and why maybe the race for the playoff could be a little bit wider open this year, and why that's the case maybe for you specifically at Clemson.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of good teams. I don't know, a lot of seniors, a lot of 6-year seniors. I think just the experience that everybody had last year, everybody kind of getting used to playing in front of crowds again. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things you could talk about, but scheduling, different. There's been some tough matchups with some teams along the way across the country, but there's a lot of good players, transfer portal, you name it.
And how much of an impact do you think it has when you have Clemson obviously graduated a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence, and there's a few other schools across the country that had these just unbelievable players head off. How much of an impact do you think that has on turnover from year to year on a team?
Oh, that's college football. That's just the way it is. Taj Boyd was left here as winningest quarterback in school history, and Deshaun Watson came in here and tied him, and Trevor Lawrence came in here and set a new record. And now you're always kind of starting over. You can have a couple years here or there where you have an experienced group, like where we are defensively this year. We're incredibly experienced. The last couple years have been very inexperienced, and this year we're deep in experience, and it shows. Flip side, offensively, we're very inexperienced in some key spots, but that's just college football. That's just the way it is, and everybody deals with that. That's why recruiting is so important, and not just recruiting, but evaluation and development. And I can tell you this: I love our guys, and we got a good group that's just going to get better and better. So love the guys that we got across the board, but you have some years that you're more experienced than others, and that's the same for everybody everywhere in the country.
Dabo, hi, this is Billy Witz with the New York Times. It's a little bit of a different question, but kind of in the same vein. Just looking at, Ohio State's had some hiccups, at the start of the season, and Notre Dame, and even to a lesser degree, maybe Oklahoma. It has not played necessarily characteristic of in some ways of what we've come to expect in the last few years. And I think maybe it was a surprise to see Alabama get pushed around at the line of scrimmage a little bit on Saturday. And so I don't know. Do you see any? Why are you laughing? And do you see any common threads in any of that?
I think other teams need to have a little credit every now and then. Maybe Oregon's pretty good. I don't know if you've ever gone down and tried to play football in the swamp, but that's a tough. Been there, done that. That's a really tough place to go play, especially early in the season. There's still teams are figuring out a lot who they are and who their opponents are. You still don't have a lot of tape on some of these teams, and I don't know who Florida played the first couple games, but Florida, they recruit well. They're well coached. That's an incredibly difficult place to play, and this expectation that everybody's just going to blow everybody out every week is disrespectful to the other teams and the coaches. Everybody's got good players, and maybe Oregon's pretty good. you know. Or sometimes you don't have your best day or whatever, but it doesn't mean you stink. It doesn't mean you're going to have a terrible year or anything like that. Every week is a season of its own. And if you know anything about college football, and you go back and you look at where things are in September, you know, it doesn't always end up the way you think it is in September. Been a lot of people buy into that. Ross was making a point the other day. He in that, you know, I think he was talking about, I guess, people back in 2014. I think Ohio State was like 13th in November, and Clemson, we were somewhere in the top 20, and I think it was early November, and Ohio State won the national championship, and Clemson had a great November and had a great bowl game against Oklahoma, 40-6, and you know, so it doesn't always end up the way everybody thinks it's going to go in September. That's why you play the games, and it's fun. That's what makes college football fun, and that's why that's why, you know, every game is so critical in college football, the way the structure is. And when you go to a 12-team playoff, which is coming eventually, you know, to me that lessens that a little bit. But you know, that's just, to me, one of the things that makes college football unique. These are young people, and you have, the previous person said there, I mean, we have turnover in college every year, and you're figuring it out. You don't get preseason games, you know. You don't get. It takes a little bit to adjust to the speed of the game and playing and all that stuff, and get into the rhythm, especially when you've got a bunch of new people at some of these places. So I can assure you, you know, they haven't all forgot how to coach. That's for sure. I think somewhere along the line you got to give the opponent some credit, you know. So I just think that's college football.
And just another question, going back, you know, you talked about guys maybe, you know, especially offensively, I think losing their technique when the game, you know, the game was played and guys are practicing well. Do you think that is you and your coaches considered? I mean, is there any thought, you know, this week? Okay, maybe we need to simplify some things, or is it just the repetition will, you know, eventually pay off, like you said?
Well, I definitely think the reps would pay off, but as coaches, you're always trying to get better. You're always evaluating yourself every week. You know, what could we have done better? Is this, you know, could we have simplified this or that? This past week, very different, very unique situation for the offense, and especially when you're not dealing with a bunch of veterans. You know, and again, I'm proud of our staff and our group for you know, managing a difficult situation, especially what we had to overcome. You know, ball security is fundamentals, and that's reps. You know, you got to. There's nothing when you put the ball on the ground 7 times in 2 games. That has nothing to do with simplifying anything. That's all fundamental, and that is, you know, just, you know, continuing to have an emphasis on the fundamentals, on, you know, 6 points of pressure, all those things. You know, wrist above your elbow, you know, eagle claw, the whole thing on what you teach from a ball security standpoint, and you just rep it, and you just continue to practice that way, and that worm will turn. You know, we're very fortunate. seven offensive balls on the ground in the last 2 games. We only lost 2 of them. That's a miracle. But that kills drives. It's bad field. It's just a mess. So that has nothing to do with, you know, simplifying anything. That's just the basic of ball handling and getting the snap, et cetera.
Anything else?
When you are having issues with execution, does that keep you from expanding?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, you definitely don't want to add stuff if you're not executing well, you know. But you know, it's just basic stuff. Just precision in what we do. And again, we had a chance to win the first game if we just there was you can leave everything the same and change 2 plays, and it's an overtime game, for sure, or we win it. You know, we either win the game or it's overtime, and see what happens. And that was just our best players, you know, assignment-wise. Miss a signal, do the wrong thing. And so on this basic thing as there is, now, you know, some of the things up front, for sure, when you got some young, inexperienced guys and the cohesiveness, then, yeah, you've got to make sure everybody's on the same page. Because if you got guys, if you're not targeting guys properly, then it's going to be hard to be successful.
Dabo, on plays like targeting, the targeting rule it seemed like that's really like, I don't know, been happening more often in games this year in all of college football. Is there something from a coach, especially with guys getting ejected, like in the NFL, they don't get thrown out of the game and stuff. There's something where you guys can maybe change the intent of that rule, where a guy isn't losing playing time when he's not trying to hurt anybody, he's just making the football play.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a lot of talk on the rules committee about all that stuff, and you know, obviously, I think they've done a better job on you know, from where it used to be. It was very rigid. Seems like there's a little bit more common sense, but I still think it could be better, you know. But at the end of the day, it's about safety, and it's about, you know, for the tackler and the player being tackled. You know, keeping your head up, you know, and not leading with the crown of your helmet and so forth. But there's some bang plays that you know, you just know there's no intent there, and sometimes the defender lowers. You know, you're at a good angle, you're going, and next thing you know, a guy gets in your way, and it's too quick for you to adjust. So, you know, the intent is good as far as, you know, keeping your head up, not leading with the crown, not launching, you know, all those things. But, you know, there's still some bang plays out there that you hate to see guys getting thrown out for, because you know that there was no intent. You know, it's kind of like, you know it when you see it, you know it when you don't, type of deal. And you know, maybe we'll get there eventually. But again, at the end of the day, you want to make it as safe as possible.
Given the call that was made for Trenton targeting, when you saw the hit on Shipley on the last play, you sort of say, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, it's just, you know, and refs aren't perfect, and that's for sure. They're gonna miss some things, just like we screw stuff up. But then sometimes that's where you hope kind of replay, you know, is consistent and so forth. But you know, it's just a part of the game now that we all have to deal with. You know, some are going to go your way, some are not. They're going to see some, miss some. It's like holding. I mean, we turn some stuff in every week. We're like, I mean, how do we miss that? You know, and vice versa. People turn stuff in on us that they miss. So it just kind of, that's just the human element that it's a part of the game.